Well, hello, and welcome to a very special edition of the Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Alstrand. Now, not only a fabulous Friday here today, but today marks our 20th anniversary, the launch of this radio station. 20 years ago, it's actually tomorrow. We'll cheat a little bit, won't we? Halifax heard for the first time an all-news radio format. 5:30 in the morning on October the 11th of 2005. Listeners first heard Doug Reynolds and Jennifer McDonald kick things off with All News Mornings. Then at 10 o'clock in the morning, the Maritimes were introduced to Andrew Crystal and Maritime Morning. This show was born. We've had two shows on at the time. Don't forget, legendary Tom Young would come on right after Andrew Crystal, beaming in from St. John. Maritime Morning saw Andrew leave to be replaced by Geordie Morgan. And then, of course, the immortal Rick Howe. When Rick retired, the Todd Veinotte show took over, and that had a place on the weekend, of course, to begin, and then took over, and here we are. We've had other shows on this station as well, as you well know. Sheldon McLeod lived here in the afternoons for a time. Aaron Trafford, a trailblazer, hosted a show for the weekends for a little while. And the fun fact about Aaron Trafford's show is that Aaron's producer at the time was the one and only Brett Ruskin, who, of course, you see now on your televisions daily on CBC. Names like Erica Munn, Scott Simpson, Greg Morrow, the agriculture minister, Amy Arts, Jason White, John Muma, Ruth Davenport, Scott McIntosh, Natalie Fournier, Alistair Alders, Richard Zarowski, Katie Hartai, and Jen Casey. Just a few voices that you've heard over the years. Some of those voices you'll hear today. Others will be listening from home. And, of course, some are no longer with us. Today, we're live at the Westin Hotel here in Nova Scotia, celebrating 20 years. That's 2 decades. Can you believe it? And 95.7 News Radio. We've got a regular show scheduled for today. Don't forget, we'll have the open hour, as we always do here. We're going to do things a little bit different during the open hour today. We're going to do, if you remember back at the beginning of the long weekend that ended summer, we did a Happy News edition of this, and we thought appropriate to do that today because of the celebration that we're having of 20 years being on the radio. So we're going to do one of those editions where you get a chance to say something nice about somebody, some good service. Maybe you saw something over the fall, the beginning of the fall or the end of the summer that you think needs to be for a shout out, or just keeping things light because we are, of course, having a bit of a celebration today. So I hope that you can join us. That, of course, is going to take place in hour number 2 in its traditional spot here on the program. We have a bevy, a whole load, I can't explain it enough, of special guests that are going to join the show today. And we're going to kick things off. We're going to go down to Province House and welcome into the show the Premier of Nova Scotia, and that is Tim Houston. Premier Houston, appreciate you joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. What a big day. Congratulations. That's quite a list of dignitaries. Those names you read off there for sure, but congratulations.
Well, we're very glad you're
providing information to Nova Scotia is awesome.
I know that sometimes, Premier, you and I and the media have a bit of a tumultuous relationship, but I think it's vitally important that we continue to have forums like this show and others like it to give people a chance to comment on the events of the day and some of the things that are happening in the province.
I don't think you and I are ever tumultuous, Dan. But no, but I listen. I'm a big fan of this show, particularly the open hour. To be honest, I don't do a lot of social media that can be pretty depressing and stuff, and sometimes I don't even read a lot of other media or pay attention to other media. But the open hour on this show is a place that I'll often actually just play it back on the weekend or something. I might listen to a couple episodes because it's a place where you can actually hear from actual people what's on their mind. And when I have a chance to come, I like the in-studio part too, when I'm in studio and sit and take calls and just kind of, they can hear directly from me. I can hear directly from them. It's a really valuable thing. And I really look forward to it and appreciate it.
Well, we know that you've done several of those, Premier, and kudos to you. And I know it's not a comfortable position. Just ask some of our city councilors. That being said, you very rarely turn down my requests. I won't say you never do, but you very rarely do, and we appreciate that.
No, I'm a fan because it's a place where you get a real pulse for what's going on. So I have some good memories over the year. Obviously, I think I had my 12th year anniversary of being elected this week or something. 12 years, but obviously started out in opposition, started out deep in the backbenches of opposition, even as it were. And I remember the opportunities in those days to come on the show and talk about an issue and express some of my own outrage sometimes at things. But I had a particularly there's one memory that we talk about. Oftentimes we will even say, "Hey, remember that time?" And it was a pretty new MLA, and it was a Friday. Actually, we were in the legislature, and I'd come on the show, and I think it was Sheldon I was talking to about a particular issue. I don't remember what the issue was, but just shortly after I did my little segment, I hung up and was listening. And of the day, Steve McNeil was in his car, and he was going somewhere, and he called in to dispute what I had said, and we thought that was kind of neat. Actually, we got the attention of the premier. Look, the premier even called right in. He was so. Anyways, it was that's kind of one that we still say, hey, remember that. But I have lots of good memories of interacting with people, and I learn a lot from the show and from some of the perspectives. Life is about diverse perspectives, and sometimes you come up with a policy and something you just didn't see. Gee, I didn't think of that, right? So it's a really informative service that you're providing, and wish you all the best for 20, 30, 40, 100 years, even more. I look forward to you continuing to serve Nova Scotians in the way you do.
Premier, I know you're very busy. Just one more question. I get asked a lot, and there are some listeners here today that and some voices in the open hour that we hear quite often that have made the trek down to the West and to join the broadcast today, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask. I get asked an awful lot about this show and if those in the seats of power are listening to it. I can remember back in the day when I was in New Brunswick doing this, walking through the halls at the legislature in Fredericton and hearing the show on in many ministers' offices. That still happens today, does it not?
Yeah, I would say it is. The open hour is definitely a part that people pay attention to because it's real people expressing real concerns or real opportunities. Now, I'm not going to say everyone on the government side tunes in when you have one of the opposition leaders on there on a rant or something, but certainly when it's, I do think that there's valuable information that can be gleaned that does often give us pause for thought of just simply like, we didn't think of that. I never thought of that. Or isn't that, that's an issue. I hadn't heard that issue before. Isn't that interesting, right? Is there anything we can do about it? So I do think that you could definitely feel confident that people are paying attention to, especially those parts of the show for sure. Maybe all of it. I don't know, but definitely those parts.
Well, Mr. Premier, I mentioned you're busy, and I know you have to fly. But given the events of the legislature last week, you got a little extra time on your hands, so we expect to see you in the open hour very soon. You couldn't get away without asking one political question, right?
It's fair. But no, all congratulations, all the best, and I wish I was there actually to meet some of those familiar voices in person. But maybe at some point we'll get a chance to do that. But congratulations, and have a great weekend, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving to all your listeners.
Thank you, Mr. Premier.
Take care, buddy.
That is the Premier of Nova Scotia, Tim Houston. That's the way to kick off the show. He is a big fan, as you can tell, and I will share a story about the Premier. I've been doing this an awful long time with doing talk radio and having interviewees and particularly those in those types of positions. I've had mayors and premiers. I've talked to prime ministers, and normally when they come into the studio, and particularly when Premier Houston comes in to do those hour-long call-ins, it can be a difficult position. We call it counselors on the hot seat for a reason, right? And most of the time they come in, they've got 3 or 4 different aides, and they've got a binder full of notes and speaking points and everything else. But I will tell you, and this is not one word of a lie, when Premier Houston comes into to do that segment on our show, he does it a couple, 3-4 times a year. He comes in, I hand him a pen, he's got a blank piece of paper, and he just goes. And being that I do this for a living, and our next guest, the mayor's here, by the way. He's going to join us in a minute. He knows he can see the notes that I bring in here, so to be able to do all that stuff off the cuff is a real talent. And like political stripes, whatever, like him or not, he certainly has been good to this show, and certainly has been good to shows in the past, and joining us and bringing that level of that form of government closer to the people. We're going to stop and take our first break here on the program. As I mentioned, we've got a long list of very special guests that are going to be joining us today. And the next one is sitting here. He's got a big smile on his face. We'll see if it's still there when we get back. Mayor Andy Fillmore will be your guest. You're listening to the Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Alstrand. Happy birthday. We're back in minutes. All right, welcome back. It's funny. The remote setup that we do here is a headset, and Rick used to wear a headset all the time, and I used to bug him that he thought he was a football play-by-play announcer, and I've got the headset on today, so I kind of think it's cool. It gives me a little bit mobility. It gives me a chance to look at Mayor Fillmore. Mayor Fillmore, how are you?
I think you're calling the plays from the sideline there. The headset looks good on you.
Yeah, well, it's like, we're watching a football game or something like that.
Exactly.
Very glad you're able to spend some time with us and come down here on a pretty special day for the radio station.
Nice to be with you today, and happy 20th anniversary. And you mentioned Geordie Morgan's here, and I was thinking about Rick Howe earlier, and boy, what a constellation of stars it's been over the years. And,
right.
And Todd and you, and what a group.
Geordie and Rick and there's the man himself just walked in, and he's going to be joining us
right there
very soon. We haven't seen him for a while, so it's good to see him. Mayor Fillmore, I asked the Premier the question. I'll ask you the same thing. We do that segment every week on Councillors on the Hot Seat, and I'm going to refer to him a lot because I learned a lot from Rick when he was doing this, and he said that you have to maintain that segment because it really gives constituents an opportunity to get access to their municipal politicians. How important is a forum like that for you and for council to hear from the public on the issues of the day?
Well, I think it's more important than ever that residents and the community at large has a way to get directly to their elected representatives without going through the filter of the internet, of Facebook or Reddit or whatever it might be. That's a very direct, very democratic way of hearing directly from the person that you cast your vote for or didn't cast your vote for. So I think it's really important, and more so than ever. And
it gives us access to various levels of government. As I mentioned, had the Premier. I'm going to interrupt our interview just for a second, Mayor Fillmore, because on the line we have the Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia, and the fellow that held your chair before you, and that is the Honourable Mike Savage. Lieutenant Governor, how are you today, sir?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys doing?
We are wonderful. I'm so glad that you're able to spend some time with us. I think in my 30 years of doing this year my first Lieutenant Governor.
Well, I'm not your first Lieutenant Governor. I might be the first one you've interviewed.
Right, yeah, first of all, that's very true. You're very correct. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Lieutenant Governor Savage, of course, was the mayor of HRM for a number of years, but Mike, you were instrumental in getting this radio station up off the ground in the early days.
Yeah, I guess so. Back more than 20 years ago, some guys from Rogers, Phil Lind, Gary Miles, called me up. Before I was elected, and talked to me, and I eventually became, I think, what they called the chair of the local advisory group or the local community group or something that made the pitch to the CRTC, I guess it was, that Rogers should have this station. And one of the reasons that we used for it was that we had just come off Hurricane Juan in 2003, and the importance of having immediate, constant feedback, both to people to give information, but also to hear people about their circumstances, was one of the things we talked about. And then it was granted in 2004. By then I was a member of Parliament. And of course, I've been on the show many times.
And we've been going at it since. I asked the current mayor, Mayor Fillmore, who's sitting beside me, Lieutenant Governor Savage, how important this forum is during your time in politics, both at the federal level and at the municipal level. How important was listening to the people and their opinions on shows like this to you?
Well, it was very important. Good morning, Andy. Good to talk to you on air.
Good morning, Your Honor. Nice to hear from you this morning.
Yeah, good to chat with both of you guys. So I think it's an important thing, and I learned early on that it was critical when I was a member of Parliament. I was first elected on the government side. Peter Stauffer and I used to go on together. And, of course, Peter was in opposition. I was on the government side, and there was lots of times I would rather have not gone on the show, but I always went on the show when Rick or you or Todd or Jordy or Andrew or whoever it was in the chair, because I thought it was important not only for me to get my message across, but really important for me to hear from people. So I have no idea how many times I've been on shows like this, but certainly it would be a lot.
Well, I know you're very busy, Your Honor, and I appreciate you spending some time with us. And don't be a stranger. We should do this in the studio sometime.
Well, I'm always happy to come on. I can't talk politics. I'm out of that game now. I've done that, and what I do now is a little bit different, but I'd be happy to chat. Just give me a call. I'm not hard to get a hold of. Just call the king and ask
we'll
him
have
to
a
get a message.
Lieutenant Governor's garden party in the studio. What do you think?
Yeah, well, let's do it. It might be a little bit smaller than the one we had this year, but we'd be happy to do it.
Well, all right, Mike Savage, I appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and Darlene, Mike.
All the best.
Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia. That is the Honourable Mike Savage. Lots of big names, and Andy Fillmore, the Mayor of Halifax, current Mayor, sitting here with us. We were chatting about access to the people with these kind of shows, Mayor Fillmore, and it's becoming more and more difficult to have these kind of forums. And we're very very glad that you and Council are very open to us to continue to do that.
I'm happy to be doing it. You can't see this on the radio, but you should have seen Dan Alstrand's eyes go wide when the cart of top shelf of scotch just rolled through the lobby of the Westin here.
It's thirsty work, Mayor.
It sure is, isn't it?
Andy, obviously moving into from the federal realm to the municipal realm, we've always said, and many people have said, that it's kind of the closest form of government to the people. How has that transition been for you? And we know that there's been some bumps in the roads. There's no question about that. And I guess moving forward, you're settling into your job.
I love it. I'm so happy to be back at it's really my natural habitat. 20 plus years of being a city planner, much of that here in Halifax. So I loved every moment of my time in Ottawa, but that was about a decade, and I was ready to be back in Halifax. And of course, Mike Savage, his announcement that he wasn't going to run again, it made a very easy decision for me. So I'm back at that ground floor level of being able to have impact in people's lives. And for a city planner to be in the mayor's office at this juncture, when we're growing the way that we are, and when we're facing the challenges around housing and transit and congestion, I think it really lines up beautifully. So every day is an adventure for me. And you mentioned there have been some tough moments, and there have been. I'm an agent of change. And there's a favorite email I got a couple of weeks ago that I printed and leave it on my desk, and it simply said, "The nail that sticks up gets the hammer. Keep up the good work." So I'm here to do good things for our residents. Mayor
Fillmore, we talked about it a bit yesterday on the open hour. We have budget session, or budget season, I guess is the way to describe it, because it's not a quick event. I know you were quite surprised how long it took last time around, and some difficult decisions are going to be made this year. I guess at the end of the day, are we going to see some service cuts or some reductions because of the state that the city's in financially at this point?
Well, look, let's call this the Straight Talk Express, like
sure.
John McCain used to call it on his presidential campaign. We're entering a different fiscal reality right now. And we see the federal government is reducing its spending by 7.5%, 10%, and 15% this year and over the next 2 years. The provincial government has announced a fairly significant deficit of 1.22, could reach up to 1.4, which is going to be an extraordinary debt for the province. We're no different. So the city of Halifax, the HRM, can't be the only order of government who's still out there spending like we haven't realized what the new financial reality is. And I had this conversation with my council colleagues in the chamber a week or two ago. And it's that clip is on YouTube, and anyone can find it. But if you'll bear with me here,
sure.
Danny, I had a long conversation with our CFO, our Chief Financial Officer, before that meeting, and he explained to me about how we're carrying about $250 million in debt right now. That's like a loan that we take from the province. They call it a debenture.
Right.
And our debt service on that is $50 million a year. There is a fiscal guardrail that says we should never spend more than 10% of our annual budget on debt service. At $50 million, we're at 5%. It's manageable. But he went on to say that $250 million in debt is going to increase to well over $700 in the next couple of years. We've never had that kind of borrowing before. That is going to move us past the 10% guardrail. If we don't exercise restraint in this budget coming up. So my message to my council colleagues and to the community at large is we're not in Kansas anymore. We're the majority of council, with the exception of maybe David Hensby and maybe the entire municipal staff, except maybe 10%, have never been in this kind of fiscal situation before. We've had years of good times, and that's really going to change now.
I'm hearing numbers about a 10%, at least the working number, the number that we begin with, 10%, somewhere between $40 and $50 million in efficiencies.
Yeah, so the CFO told me, he said, we're honoring, Mayor, the motion that you had passed at council last summer, which was that we not add any new spending other than collective agreement obligations, contracts are already underway, and cost of living. And so he said, with just that bare bones budget, we're coming in at 10% over last year's budget. So that's a tax increase. So my message to the community and to my colleagues is, not only can we not add anything when we go through our budget, add new nice to haves, we really need to be focused on what we're going to be removing from this budget. So we have an affordability crisis. There was a recent Abacus poll last week released that said that cost of living concerns are the number one concern of Canadians, at 65% of Canadians. The next closest concern is the cost of housing at 35%, about half. Environment is down at around 21%, which is about a third of what their level of concern for affordability. So this is our new reality. We need to be focused on saving.
Mayor Fillmore, I know you're busy. I know that that office has you going in 75 different directions. That being said, I'm very glad that you were able to stop by today and help us celebrate our 20th anniversary. And who knows, maybe we'll get a Mayor Fillmore on the hot seat segment in the new year.
I will look forward to that.
Looking forward to it.
I appreciate the invitation. Okay, well, happy anniversary.
Thank you,
and a big hello to all the listeners out there, and really nice to see the old gang here for the reunion.
Right, and the gang's all here, they say. Mayor Fillmore, appreciate your time.
Cheers. Happy.
That is Mayor Andy Fillmore, HRM's mayor. We're going to stop here and take a break. This is a very special edition of the Todd Veinotte Show today. We're celebrating 20 years, 2 decades. I feel old because I was here at the very beginning. Right? I'm just looking across the way at one of our next guests, Jordy Morgan. Of course, you remember him from our days on Maritime Mornings, and Lisa Blackburn, who you just heard a couple of weeks ago, our newest of the bevy of hosts that we have here, and of course, longtime counselor, longtime radio personality, and goes on, and that's just some of the people that we have here on the program. We're gonna dig back into the archives. Vanessa's been working very hard over the last few weeks to dig up some of the old bloopers. Jordy's face just dropped, and some of the more important events that we have covered here in the various iterations of this program. I really hope you can stick around with us, and if by all means, if you're down anywhere near the Westin today or in the south end of Halifax, stop in, say hi. There's a few listeners here that have come up, some names and faces that I've put to voices, which is always weird when you're on radio because you don't really get to see the people that you talk to every day, and you just never know who's going to pop onto the show today. We're going to have a little bit of a loosey-goosey format as we try to get to as many memories as we can on the program. And just a very quick reminder, we are going to do the open hour. That's going to happen at 11 o'clock, but we're going to have one of those laurels, one of those happy news ones. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. Lots of negativity. We kind of talk about it every day. We thought because it's our 20th anniversary today, and we're celebrating that we lighten things up on the open hour. If you want to send a shout out to somebody that you think deserves to be called out on the radio, if you came across something that you think was pretty cool and you want to highlight it, if you got good service at a restaurant, if your neighbor plowed your yard for you last year, this is what the open hour is going to be about in honor of 20 years of doing these shows. I have to take a break. We're going to stop. We're going to get an update from the news, and when we come back, we've got a couple of special guests here. Former host, current host, Jordy Morgan, Lisa Blackburn. You're listening to the Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Alstrand. We're back in minutes.
Welcome back to 95.7 News Radio's 20th anniversary show. I'm Chris Halef. Here's a look back at one of the standout stories from our archives.
Well, it was obviously a really tough night for a lot of people in the region. 18,000 people affected by evacuations from this wildfire that started yesterday around 3:30 in the Upper 10 Talon area, and we will, of course, be responding to this all morning long. And first and foremost, for those of you who are impacted by this, we certainly we give our thoughts and prayers to you and hope that everything's okay. And I can only imagine how unsettling this would be to not be able to be in your homes, and for those who have lost homes and all that goes with it, and of course the firefighters and the emergency responders who are responding to all of this, obviously doing amazing work, working very long hours, so it's a difficult situation. And again, we will respond to this throughout the morning. We'll be taking your calls, of course.
Now live from the Westin Hotel, here's Dan Alstrand.
All right, welcome back, and that one certainly brings back a bunch of memories. We ran a news story this morning with some of the other events that we've dealt with here over the years, and it's certainly the flood of memories comes back, and that's kind of what this show's about. Is we're remembering some of the things that happened over the last 20 years of the radio station. This is the Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Alstrand. We're live at the Westin in the lobby here. And if you're in the South End somewhere and you want to stop by and say hello, there's a door prize here. We're giving away a pretty cool prize. And there's a bunch of people milling around here, some fans of the show.
There's cake.
And there's cake. See, Lisa immediately goes to the food, right? That voice you heard, of course, you just heard it recently on the radio station, and didn't it sound fantastic? And that is Lisa Blackburn, a former counselor and radio host, and your business card is getting too small.
I need a fold-out business card. Wow. Happy birthday. Happy anniversary.
You, those may not know, Lisa, in another iteration of a career, was working just down the hall from us for a number of years down at Rogers Command Center.
I was going to say, I think I joined the Rogers family in 2009, about 4 years after 95.7 went on the air. But I was over on the sister station, which was Light 92.9, now known as Jack.
Right.
And it was went there with my husband.
Right.
It was the very first husband and wife morning show in Atlantic Canada.
There you go.
So it was really cool that that Rogers gave us the freedom to tackle that and join the family. So no, it was good. It was good.
And snuggling with me on the other side here, a voice you've heard many times. You heard it on Maritime Morning in the early days.
Maritime Morning,
right?
Yeah,
and that, of course, that taking over that show from the late great Andrew Crystal, and moving it forward in only the way that he can, and that, of course, is Jordy Morgan. Jordy, how are you?
Dan, thank you for allowing me to come in and distort your morning microphones here.
We're good.
We're all good?
I think
all
we're
right.
okay.
No, it was great to hear from Vanessa, and I'm delighted to be here. We were just remembering the last time I showed up was for one of these was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, on your 10th anniversary.
And right in this very spot. It's like deja vu all over again.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
Tell me about the early days of Maritime Morning. It was we were still a fledgling station at that point. We were and I don't think I'm telling tales out of school, struggling a little bit to try and find our place in the market, and the big personality that was Andrew Crystal had moved on, and Mark Campbell, who was the program director and news director at the time, turned the reins of that show over to you, Jordy. Tell me about the early days of Maritime Morning.
Well, it was kind of weird. I hadn't done talk radio before. I'd done plenty of radio. I mean, I've been on most of the stations in the market anyway, at one time or another. But I hadn't done that. But I'd been in Ottawa and doing political stuff and kind of getting my feet wet around the public policy stuff. So it was an interesting time for me, and it was very opportune to be able to take over the reins. But it was, there was a different dynamic then, because we had three stations. There was Moncton and St. John and Halifax, so we had an Atlantic footprint. A new producer was brought in at the same time, Megan Groff, who stuck around for a long time with Rogers, and she's still in the media and doing well. But we had a great time because essentially we had a clean slate. I mean, I was not Andrew by any stretch of the imagination. Nobody was Andrew. And I was really delighted to have the opportunity. And we also had a bunch of interesting stuff going on in terms of the stories that were emerging. You'll remember things like Rehtaeh Parsons, and that whole story emerged. There was it was just an
the
opportunity.
chant at St. Mary's is the one that I remember when the students at homecoming did that misogynistic chant, and you did an editorial, and you won an award for it.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, that was the other thing that was a little bit different is just we had framed the show in a bit of a different way, that we wanted lots of editorial content sort of within it. We were a little less focused on the call-in that Rick was famous for, and Todd subsequently, and apparently the Premier is a big fan of as well. But it was a little bit more interview oriented, and we just kind of felt we had a mandate to advance some of the editorial discussion that was going on. So it was great. Megan and I loved doing the show, and they had to make some changes, and away we went. So
is the business. Lisa, you left late 92, which is now Jack 92.9, and then ventured into municipal politics.
Yeah, that was a path that I never saw coming. I never saw myself in that role, but after being in radio for as long as I was, I found that I got more job satisfaction out of the community service work than I did, writing and performing newscasts. So when it was suggested that perhaps could parlay that into council, it took some convincing, but finally decided to run, and ended up a councillor for 8 years. And I must say that coming at it from the councillor perspective, the platform that you offer every Monday morning to those councillors is something you will not see anywhere else in Canada.
Right.
It is unlike any other engagement with any other council. And it is a bit of a scary for a lot of councillors who don't have experience with the media, but you learn very quickly how to navigate those calls, and you learn very quickly that sometimes it's okay to say, I don't know the answer, but I'll get it for you.
Fair enough. Jordy, on to different things. What are you up to now?
I am working with Enterprise Canada, which is a public affairs company. It's very similar to what Lisa's doing. Enterprise has been here for about 4 years, but I think that there's not a strong familiarity. It's a much larger company in the rest of the country. We do government relations work, communications. We have an advertising agency called Creative Currency. We have, let's say, we're not married to, but we're sort of dating Abacus Data with David Coletto. So it's a full service operation, and there are a lot of companies now in Atlantic Canada. I think we're going into a really exciting time that I think we can help with, whether it's navigating government, whether it's developing strategic plans, whether it's crisis communications, any of that stuff. There's a lot of work along with the digital marketing side, and there's a ton of optimism in Atlantic Canada in terms of the business community, what's happening, especially with growth in the defense sector and the tech sector. Biotech is huge. There's a lot of really interesting sectoral developments and a lot of exciting companies here in Atlantic Canada that are going to fuel our growth. So this whole idea of elbows up, or whatever today's phrase is that people are using about kind of bootstrapping a little bit and pulling ourselves up by our own socks and getting things happening here in Canada has been, I think, a great catalyst. And it's nice to be able to be in a position where we can somehow either provide some services or a little bit of rocket fuel to some companies and startups that are getting going here.
Look forward to hearing you on the air. Lisa, you're doing some consulting now too. You've gone to the dark side.
I know, it's very similar to work to what Jordy's doing, but on a smaller scale. I tell folks that so first of all, I'm with a group called Forward Strategies, and they help smaller municipalities and nonprofits realize their goals. So last 2 days I've been up in Antigonish studying their community transit program and helping them with a strategic plan and helping them grow their business. And so far, it's been a lot of fun working with these groups to just help them realize what can be.
So you've got your own Tim Powers here now, but
right?
You know, male and female.
Right.
So
I could just go
you've
away.
got so much
I'd
choice.
turn the microphones on and I could go have a coffee. Anyway, thank you very much, Lisa, for stopping by.
My
Jordy,
pleasure.
always a pleasure, my friend. And we look forward to hearing you in your new roles. And of course, Lisa has agreed to be my backup in Todd's stead. And you may hear her on occasion, right on the program, getting that toe just kind of tipped right back into
That's
radio,
right? Just a little bit.
You mean being sucked back into the vortex?
Yeah, exactly.
It was favor after favor after favor. Anyway, we're going to stop and take another break. Todd Veinotte in the house, and Todd Veinotte is going to be on the air when we come back. You're listening to The Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Alstrand, and we're back in minutes.
Welcome back to 95.7 News Radio's 20th anniversary show. I'm Shelley Summers. Here's a look back of one of the standout stories from our archives.
Well, Nova Scotia has elected Tim Houston's PC party to its second straight majority government. Now, all the votes have yet to be tallied, but at this point, the PCs are elected or leading in 42 ridings. The NDP have 9, the Liberals have 3, and there was one independent elected last night. 95.7's Chris Aleph begins our team coverage this morning.
After 4 weeks of campaigning, the Progressive Conservatives have been re-elected following a decisive victory over the Liberals and NDP.
Now, live from the Westin Hotel, here's Dan Alstrand.
Welcome back. It's a bit of a jovial atmosphere around the old Westin today. We're here in the lobby. We're live. We're celebrating 20 years of 95.7 News Radio with a very special broadcast. It's already been a special broadcast with some of the people that have joined us. Our very first interview ever with a lieutenant governor. And we also, of course, had the premier on talking about how important our show is, which is kind of good. I know our next guest is probably pumped up about that one. And we had, of course, the mayor on and some alumni. But as you all very well know, that this program is called the Todd Veinotte Show, and it would be inappropriate for us to have a birthday party without inviting the man himself, and he's sitting right beside me, and I can't tell you how good it is to see you, brother.
Always great to see you, Dan, even though you didn't turn my mic on.
Well,
was that intentional, trying to make me look bad, or what?
That's what we do. That's how it works around here. I guess everybody's asking the question, Todd, how are you feeling?
How am I feeling? I'm feeling... Listen, I have good days and bad days, Dan, and that's the thing is with a neurological disease like Parkinson's disease, and that's why it's a challenge. It's because there are days where I feel really, really good, like fantastic, and there are days when I feel like crap, quite honestly.
Right.
And it's learning how to ride that and to manage that, and it's managing the disease is the challenge, right? And that's what I'm trying to do with my health team, and we're working with it, and optimistic that we can figure it out, but it's about management, health management, and like anybody will tell you who has a neurological disease, it's you just never know what you're going to get from day to day, and hence the challenge.
Right, and Todd's taking some time away to focus on his recovery and working with his team, and he was telling me how wonderful the healthcare service providers are here. Yeah,
absolutely. Dr. Lutz Weiss, a deep brain stimulation surgery about a year ago now, and we're working on that. That's again, you talk about the fine tuning. We're working on that. Dr. Rigby, my neurologist, and all her team, and they're fantastic. So look, I can't say enough about the healthcare team and the care that I've received, and kudos to everybody who works in healthcare. I've got a brand new perspective, Dan, on a lot of things. One thing that you will learn when you have a health challenge is it changes your perspective, and anybody listening would tell you that's gone through it.
Enough of the serious stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's not make this a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, we don't want to be Debbie Downer. We want to be positive.
This is our birthday party, and
that's right.
Todd's been with us in a number of different iterations.
Yeah,
over
3 times. 3 times. They can't get rid of me.
He's like a piece of furniture, I call him at the radio station.
That's right.
Todd started with us in St. John way back when at the feet of the legendary Tom Young. Tell me about those days.
Well, I mean, Tom, again, was, like you said, legendary and larger than life, and I had the opportunity, for whatever reason, I don't know, I've had the opportunity to work with closely 2 amazing icons, and you mentioned them both, and Unfortunately, they're both passed, Rick and Tom.
Right.
And learn from these guys. And I'll tell you, I never would have achieved any level of measure of success that I have achieved, whether that measure is how high or low that is. But without that experience of learning from guys like that, I would never have had any success. Just immense opportunity, and love them both to death.
Yeah, so do I. I miss them a lot, and thinking about them a lot today.
Yeah, I heard you were emotional when you kicked off.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of live radio, right?
Right. Yeah, no, it was, and from both of those gentlemen, and from Jordy, who is sitting here, Andrew, who of course is passed, and from you, I learned something each and every day.
And Andrew Crystal, I mean, you mentioned him. I mean, he really had a presence.
He was.
I know he was a controversial guy, and
to say the least.
To say the least, and wasn't everybody's cup of tea, and not easy to manage.
Nope.
But the man had a presence and really a massive brain, really a good smart guy.
Todd, you've been off for several weeks now. Obviously, you have a mind that works like mine. You're still plugged in and still seeing what's going on. But I would be getting.
I knew this was coming.
I would get a lot of phone calls if I didn't ask you this question. Did you happen to watch the American League Division Series?
Yes, I certainly did. And you know what? I give full credit to the Toronto Blue Jays and John Schneider and what a team and a team. I mean. Ernie Clement, guy like that,
right.
I mean, just scrappy, get on base, and to win that last game with the bullpen, not even a real starter, like a bullpen start,
right?
And to shut the Yankees down. Look, the Yankees didn't deliver, and full. I hated it. I couldn't stand it. It drove me nuts. But in hindsight, the Blue Jays deserve it, and I'm curious to see. I don't know much about Detroit or whomever they're going to play, Detroit or Seattle. Yeah, I don't know much about either of those two teams, but the Blue Jays certainly look good now.
Well, you know, I mentioned on the show yesterday that when the Blue Jays travel to Seattle, it's a home game. The west coast of Canada tends to flood Seattle. Detroit's right across the river from Windsor, so this setup can't get much better, I think, for the Blue Jays fan support wise. But you think they're World Series bound?
Well, I can't see why they wouldn't be.
Right.
I mean, really, and who's the young pitcher? Savage?
Yes.
3
starts.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so he looks like the real deal. The Blue Jays bullpen looks decent. I mean, look, the Yankees were a really good team, and they took it, and they didn't have any problems with New York. So I think that the Blue Jays could definitely win it all, which is great for this radio station, obviously, owners of the radio station.
And you'll hear the entire American League Championship Series live right here on the radio station, and of course we love our Blue Jays.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but look, I was born a Yankee fan,
right?
Out of the womb a Yankee fan, and I was not one of these ones that converted to the Blue Jays just because they're a Canadian team. I've always will be a Yankee fan.
You keeping up on current events, Todd? Are you staying plugged in?
Kind of, to a degree, but part of the advice of my healthcare team was to decompress and to detach. But I'm slowly picking it up again. Not as much grassroots municipal affairs as much as what's going on internationally and nationally.
Right. Well, it's hard to avoid, right?
It's hard to avoid, and the Donald Trump saga just never stops, right?
Right.
Yeah, it just never stops.
What did you think of Carney's visit?
I thought that. Look, he's in a tough position because he's got to play the game, unfortunately, and it's going to be low hanging fruit for Poilievre and people saying that what about the elbows up and where the wins for Canada and all of that. I think that he and Trump have a pretty good relationship, and that's probably a good thing when all is said and done.
Todd Veinotte, it's a pleasure to see you, and I'm very glad that you were able to spend a few minutes with us here at the show today.
For sure.
The seat is staying warm, and we're all looking forward.
You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
I appreciate that.
And I will say a massive thanks to everybody who supported the radio station for the past 20 years.
Right.
Can't say enough about that. Just and everybody who we've worked with, you rattle off a lot of names, and there's a lot of names that you would forget.
Right.
But a huge thanks to everybody who supported me and the show and the station. Can't say enough, and the calls just absolutely. I can't say enough about all the support that we've received over the years.
Well, Todd, I think I can speak for everybody listening, and here in the studio and in the hotel today, we're all pulling for you, and we're looking forward to when I can hand this mic over back to you, and you can take back over, and we'll keep the Todd Veinotte show going on for many, 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 many more years.
Okay, Dan, great stuff. Appreciate it, pal.
That is Todd Veinotte, ladies and gentlemen. He is here, and he'll be here for a couple more minutes, I think. If you're in the area, you want to say hi to Todd. Todd is here. We're going to take another break here on the program. We're going to do the open hour on the other side of it. Remember, we're going to do it a little bit different today. The lines are open, 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Let's do a good news edition of the open hour today. If you think there's somebody out there that deserves some kudos, somebody did something good for you, you had great service somewhere, you found out something this summer or into the fall that you hadn't known about, Nova Scotia or wherever you were traveling, let's do a good news edition to help celebrate our 20th anniversary. We're live on location right here at the Westin Nova Scotia. Come on down. I think there's cake. And say hi. You're listening to the Todd Veinotte Show. We're back in minutes. Vanessa's working her magic behind the boards there. That theme music is certainly familiar, isn't it? It's the hotline intro from the old days at CHNS, and then he, of course, brought that over, and that, of course, was always the introduction for the guy who used to say, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. And that, of course, is Rick Howe, and been thinking a lot about Rick today, and I know that he's looking down. And he'd be loving this. All these people around and stuff and cake. With Rick and cake would always go well. We couldn't have done this today and without my next guest. We're going to kick off the open hour. We're going to do live here in studio. And we're here, of course, at the Westin Nova Scotian. And Glenn's the general manager, and he joins us on the stage. Sir, how are you?
How are you?
Let's turn you on so everybody can hear you.
Turn me on. No, I'm having a great day. Well, great to have you guys here.
No, this is fun. This is kind of this has become tradition now, right? This is the second time we've done this.
Well, we have to do it more often, I think.
Right. The gauntlet's been thrown down. I'm looking at the sales manager, and we can do that. Greg, if you haven't seen it, the team here at the Westin Nova Scotian have been fantastic, giving us everything that we need, and you gave us a little something special when you brought out the cake that we have, and you had your team here put together a special cake to mark our anniversary.
Well, we were fortunate to bring in a year and a half ago or so a gentleman by the name of Sandeep, who is just a magician. He is a true pastry chef, and I'll throw it out and say he is the very best. It's such a fun thing, and I know we're posting it some places, and you have to make sure you take a look at it. And he's unbelievable. It is
it's fantastic, and it highlights how important our relationship is between us and the West. And Glenn, I know you're super busy. You got a hotel to run, and I'm very glad you're able to spend a couple minutes with us. Thank you very much for allowing us to do this here, and who knows, maybe we'll do some more.
Let's do it.
Awesome. If you haven't been to the Westin, get down here and say hi to everybody. It's a fabulous hotel. It's historic, and it's beautiful, and we're right by the restaurant, and I can tell you it smells fantastic. I've been sitting here smelling bacon and eggs and sausage, and it's awesome. So if you are around, we're here right till 1 o'clock, right? So you can meet some of the team here from the radio station. There's some listeners around here. There's some faces that and voices that you've heard before, and we encourage you to do that. This is the open hour, though, and we're going to take phone calls, and we're going to do that right up until 12 o'clock. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255 is the number. We're going to put a bit of a change on the show today. We're going to have a happy news edition. If there's somebody out there that you want to say thanks to, this is the Thanksgiving long weekend, right? Or somebody that you think deserves some kudos, or if you want to send a shout out to somebody, here's a perfect opportunity to do that. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. We'll begin the open hour with David. David, how are you?
Hi, Dan. Yeah, doing pretty good. I just want to, say thanks in light of the anniversary for having the opportunity. And although this isn't a good news call per se. It's good news in the sense that, we can change the world for the better. Mike, the reason I'm calling today is I just want to point out that Nova Scotia is one of only 2 provinces in Canada where Thanksgiving is not a stat holiday.
Right.
So I would just say, in light of the 20th anniversary of New 95.7, let's exercise the will of the people and make it happen. In honor of those who sacrifice their time with family and friends to go to work and do important things on this day, and also just in honor of the holiday itself and the things it celebrates, which to my mind is the real source of our strength, hope, and optimism, and pretty much all that is good within our society: family, home, comfort, joy, all of those great things. Turkey, yeah, good food, smells coming out of the oven, stuff like that. Bottle of wine, a classic film on TV. Preferably watched on a VCR in my mind, but
Anyway, David, I appreciate you joining this special broadcast, and have a happy Thanksgiving, sir.
Awesome, thanks, Dan. You too. Appreciate it. Bye bye.
902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255 is the number if you want to join the show and send a shout-out to somebody. Hey, give thanks, right? It is the Thanksgiving long weekend. I know that we've been awful busy as of late getting this broadcast ready, and we certainly haven't lost sight that it is a long weekend and it is Thanksgiving. And I know many of you are getting together with friends and family, and it would be a fantastic opportunity for you to join the show, say hello, and we can have a little bit of fun here as we celebrate. My mic's low, so I'm going to turn it up. Vanessa's yelling at me in my ears. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Let's go back to the phone lines and welcome a long-standing friend of this program, former mayor of Dartmouth, former councillor, and just big consumer of talk radio, and that is Gloria McCluskey. Gloria, how are you?
I'm great, Dan. How are you? Congratulations, Dan, to you and all the crowd there. And we know what a great job Vanessa does. But I want to congratulate you. I wanted to be there, but an appointment has kept me away. But I know you're having a great time. And it was so good to hear Todd. Right. And I hope that all of his days will soon be great. And today I'm remembering dear Rick Howe.
So am I.
And I've been involved in media since 1985. I could never count the numbers of interviews I had. Always available, always respected the media, both the press, the written press, and the people who came to interview me. And I was never misquoted.
I think you're being facetious there.
That's a rarity.
Right,
because people are always saying something, and then they think they shouldn't have said that, and then it's a misquote. I love your program, Dan. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I was on the political panel with CBC for 2 years with Parker Barr-Stunham until I decided to quit.
Right.
and that was a bit of fun. I always have fun when I'm talking politics.
For sure.
And
Gloria, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Gloria, you and I may never agree on everything, but we certainly can share opinions, and at the end of the day, we still like banana bread.
Yeah, I remember when I was director of assessment for Halifax City, and a man coming in and saying, she's tough, but she's fair.
There you go.
So if you're fair with people, that's all you can do. And I hope you have a great day. And I want to send a kudo to Bill.
Yeah.
Out to Bill, who remains so passionate at his age for Halifax.
And is having a bit of a challenge with health right now. And if he's listening, we want to send our warmest cheers to him and wish him a speedy recovery.
Yeah, and from me also.
Gloria?
So anyway, Dan, you have a great day, and I know you'll have a great day. And as I said, I wish I was there, but I can't be. So I'll keep on calling in if you keep taking my calls.
We have a 30th anniversary coming up, Gloria. We expect you to see you there.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, have a great day.
You too. That is Dartmouth Mayor, former city councillor, and friend of the program, I can say. As I mentioned, sometimes we don't agree. In fact, a lot of the times we don't agree, but she is certainly engaged in her community, and I know many of you out there listening to us today are big fans of Gloria McCluskey. Going to take a break. The open hour continues on the other side. Lots of open lines if you want to get on. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. The open hour after the break.
Welcome back to 95.7 News Radio's 20th anniversary show. I'm Mark Hodgins. Here's a look back at one of the standout stories from our archives.
We have a very special guest on the line with us, and please welcome to this very special edition of the Todd Veinotte Show, the soon-to-be new mayor of Halifax, Andy Fillmore.
Hey.
Andy, congratulations on your win.
Awesome.
Hey, hello, Dan. Hello, my friends. Really nice to hear your voices and nice to be on with you tonight.
Tell me, Andy, were you surprised at how quickly this race was essentially over?
Look, I don't know how I felt. It was a beautiful evening. We worked hard. The team worked so hard to make this moment happen.
Now, live from the Westin Hotel, here's Dan Ahlstrand.
All right, welcome back. It's busy down here. I'm very happy to hear and see a lot of people that have been longtime friends of the show. Wayne was just here, the cigar guy in his garage. He was popped by and stopped in to say hello. And we've had Chris, of course, longtime caller. You all know who Chris is. He's around here somewhere and popped in to say hi. And you can do the same thing. It's the lobby of the Westin Nova Scotian is ours today, and we're the whole team is here. I saw Mark Hodgins walking around before he goes to do his stuff in the afternoon, and there's some friends and family that are here too, and we're actually very lucky because we of course are a Rogers radio station, and we have a lot of people that come to visit us from away, and one of the people that has come to visit us from away is getting ready to join me on the air here. And I don't know if we put him on the spot or not, but I don't think, Fred, I don't think I've ever interviewed you on the radio before.
I don't think I've ever been interviewed on the radio before.
And I think that there's some people in Toronto where you work and that are going to be shocked that Fred was on the radio, really?
Yeah. So will my wife.
Fred Matthewson is our sales manager for the country, right? You're the big boss.
Senior director, local sales, media sales for the country. Yes.
So we don't skimp when we bring people on from Rogers here. We just go right to the top and bring the bosses on. Fred, it's good that you're here because we get a perspective not only locally but nationally about this news format and the green brand, as we still call it here.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the importance of news talk radio to Rogers and to the country.
Sure. News radio launched in Toronto 30 and a half years ago.
I think you were there, weren't you?
I was there 6 months after it launched, yes. I've been with Rogers for 30 plus years. And it was a struggle, I got to be honest with you. When 680 News went to the air in Toronto, it was a struggle. And then unfortunately, with what happened in 9/11, the station just grew tremendously. It became an important part of Torontonians' day-to-day life, and it grew from there. And with the success of 680 News, we decided to launch several other news radio stations in Halifax, of course, and Kitchener 570. Calgary 660, and in Vancouver 1130. So we have right now 5 news radio stations, coast to coast.
And all successful, I will say.
They're all very, very successful, yes. They're all different depending
Right.
on the size of the market. Toronto is pretty much all news all the time. And the smaller the market is, we do have some news, talk, and sports programming as well on those stations. So.
Fred, we hear about radio, and I've been at this for 30-ish years too, and we hear that it's dead and that it's gone, and it's going away. I'm sure you probably heard the same thing. How vibrant is radio in Canada? Are people still buying ads on it? I guess.
Yes, of course they are. Radio is still an important part of everyone's day-to-day life. To be honest, the younger generations aren't necessarily tuning in like they used to, but at the end of the day, the audience is huge. 83% of Canadians listen to radio every single day, so it is a significant media platform in this country.
Well, Fred, I'm glad you were able to spend a few minutes with us on our birthday broadcast. I'm glad you're in town for it.
I'm very happy to be here.
And we'll have to get together after the show.
Okay.
That is
Thanks
Fred Matthewson. He is the big boss Everybody's watching. The big boss. And we're going to get a picture done here while I'm live on the air because this is live radio and it's fun. Anyway, Fred, appreciate it. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Where are we here? Let's go to Ifo. Ifo, how are you? I can't hear you.
Sorry, I was muted. I didn't realize.
Thanks for coming.
Beautiful, blessed, and highly favored. Good to be here.
I'm glad you're able to spend some time with us today. What's on your mind?
I am only sad because I am working, so I'm not able to be there in person.
Oh.
But that's the only sad thing. But other than that, I am grateful for the show, grateful for you, Todd, and the whole crew, and of course, grateful for Gloria, who's always keeping us on our toes in a good way.
She certainly keeps me on my toes, that's for sure.
Yes, and then I also wanted to make a shout out to Mary at Mary's African Cuisine for always representing Africa and giving us beautiful, beautiful, delicious food. And her whole staff are there are just lovely, lovely people. Just wanted to say we're thankful for her and what she's done for the community. I don't know if you know this, but during Christmas time when African students are not, or just anybody doesn't have a place to go for Christmas, she provides food to people for free at Christmas time. So she's really a blessing to the city. I just want to say a shout out to her. Thank you.
Ifo, appreciate it, sir. Have a fantastic day, okay?
Okay, bye-bye.
902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. I'm going to put Vanessa on the spot here. Vanessa, put your headphones on.
Oh, give me a second. I've got phone calls and emails. I got it all going on.
All right. So you have a couple emails that you said you wanted to read for us.
Yeah, I do have one email, and it's from Rob, and we've heard from Rob a lot over the years, and he says, thank you and Todd on so capably hosting the show. It's not only entertaining, but I think it's an important part of keeping people engaged in our democracy. Not a small contribution given the times we live in.
Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Vanessa, there are many people. I have you on the air, now I'm going to embarrass you. There are many people that are stopping by here. We've got chairs out in the lobby, and everybody's kind of asking the same thing is, where's Vanessa? Well, I said, somebody has to work because I'm not. I'm just kind of sitting here chatting with people and drinking coffee. But Vanessa's doing all the hard work behind the microphone. She doesn't get enough credit, people. She doesn't get on the air enough, and we couldn't do it without her. So thank you very much, Vanessa.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dan.
902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. Let's go to line 2 with Rick. Rick, how are you?
I'm well, and you guys certainly are.
Yes. I'm glad you called in, Rick. I know you're a long-time listener.
Yeah, well, to go back to Mr. Howe.
Right.
My wife used to listen to Andrew Crystal as well.
Right.
But anyway, that was before my listening time. I was, on the road and stuff.
Sure.
But look, I have a funny little story for you for Rick Howe. And back in, I don't know, maybe 2015, and what reminded me of it this morning was when you played the bumper music for Rick Howe.
Yeah.
That we got an African gray parrot in 2014, and when the Rick Howe show used to come on, that music would come on, and she would kind of get excited, and I would stand in front of her and say, Rick Howe, okay. Anyway, didn't take any time at all before she was looking back at me, going, Rick Howe.
Oh, there you go.
So I recorded it one day.
I think I remember that. Yep.
And Leah was
Leah Badstone. One of his producers. Yeah.
She was a producer then, and so we sort of got it together, and so Rick got to play Coco saying Rick Howe on the Rick Howe show.
Fair enough.
Had to be a first time for something.
Oh,
anyway,
I wouldn't doubt it.
Congrats on the 20 years, and I'm glad it's not 100% news like Toronto. The open hours is most important.
I think it is too.
And I'm so sorry to hear about the Yankees for Todd, but I have to.
I'm not, and I told him that I'm not. It's the Todd and I've been. I've known Todd longer than we've been on the radio together, so we've been jarring back and forth about the Yankees for years, and he usually gets the bragging rights, but not this year.
Not this year, baby.
All right.
We'll see what happens. I'm kind of hoping for Detroit in the other series, mainly because of travel for the two teams.
Right.
It's like, what is it, like 40 miles away or something? Anyway,
We can keep it in the keep it in the Eastern time zone, right?
That's right. You got it. Okay.
Fair enough.
That's
Rick,
good.
appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye.
Have a good one. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. The special edition of the Todd Veinotte Show continues. The special edition of the Open Hour continues. This is a good news Open Hour. If you got something good you want to pass along, if you want to send kudos up to somebody, if you got some good service. We often hear a lot on this show about bad service and some of the awful things that happen. Wouldn't it be nice to kind of turn things around and give somebody a shout out for doing something good? Let's do that for the next 30 minutes. We're going to take another break. We're going to get an update on the news. The Open Hour continues on the other side of it. You're listening to the Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Alstrand, live at the Westin Nova Scotian. We're back after this.
Welcome back to 95.7 News Radio's 20th anniversary show. I'm Alistair Alders. Here's a look back at one of our standout stories from our archives.
Catastrophic storm damage here in Atlantic Canada. Hundreds of thousands of people waking up this morning without electricity, and we'll have a look at some specific impacts to the electrical grid in just a moment.
Now, this is one of the most devastating post-tropical storms ever to hit the region. Veinotte being blamed for at least now 2 deaths. City's Jamie Pulford joins us with the latest on what disaster experts say will be a long road to recovery.
Now live from the Westin Hotel, here's Dan Alstrand.
Welcome back. Dan Alstrand live here in the lobby of the Westin Nova Scotian as we celebrate 20 years of 95.7 News Radio, 20 years of stories like you just heard in that bumper coming back, and had a couple of conversations here in the lobby of the hotel and a couple of emails from people who were listening to some of those bumpers and some of those clips that we ran, and Rick's old music, and Mark Hodgins, who's here, that you just heard talking about Fiona, and we're talking about Juan and Fiona and wildfires in Tantallon, and the mass shooting in Portapic, and the radio station was there for all of that, and bringing you the latest information that we can as we move forward. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255 is the number. We're going to continue the open hour here for the next 30 minutes. If you want to join the show and say your piece, there's your opportunity. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Vanessa, let's go to line number 3 and Senton. Senton, how are you?
I'm fine, Dan. How are you?
I'm well. What's on your mind today, sir?
Well, this is not a great humanitarian story, but it's a personal thing.
Sure.
I've been golfing for 55 years. I'm a member of Brookfield Golf and Country Club.
Okay.
I turned 83 on September 2nd, and September 9th I shot an 81.
Well,
and
good for you.
And at the 30th I shot another 81.
Wow.
So I shot my age twice in a month.
Look at you.
Look at me, and I Googled online how many golfers in the world shoot their age, and it came back with less than 9 in a million.
Well, that's outstanding, sir.
Yeah. Well, I've been an avid golfer for a long time, so.
Well, you'll have to remind me not to bet any money if we get on the course together.
So it was on my bucket list, and I got it done, and it's a great feeling.
I appreciate you calling in and sharing. Happy Thanksgiving, sir.
Same to you. Thank you. Bye.
902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Vanessa, let's go to line 5, and I think that's Chris. Chris, how are you?
Good, Dan. Thank you so much for taking my call. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
And seriously, you're doing a heck of a job. I'm pretty sure, your friend told you that a few minutes ago.
Well,
wish him the best.
Yeah, it was very good to see Todd.
It was nice to hear his voice.
Yeah, and it was nice to see him and doing well, and looking forward to coming back and taking this show back over.
Exactly. But anyways, back in the day, in my younger days, I was a bartender at the Press Club.
Okay.
That was in the bells of the Carlton Hotel, below the jury room.
I think that was
And
before
I'm
my
mad.
time, but I've heard some of the legends that have come from the press club.
I'll tell you, I saw so many arguments in there, like Harry Fleming and Parker arguing. And I
Right.
used to look forward to watching them on the news every Thursday night with Jim Nunn.
Yes.
You know, James Nothing, eh? That's what
Right.
Harry called Jim Nunn, James Nothing. And, yeah, it was so funny. And
Right.
I'll tell you, laugh your ears off.
Right, no
And
doubt.
Oh, God. Yeah, and I met, like, Gloria McCluskey.
Right.
And all those characters, like, oh, my God. It was just nonstop. And some of the funny stories. And, like, my uncle, who's married to Mary Mae Simon, by the way. His name is Whit Fraser. He worked for CBC. He did news work. He worked his way up. He started out in radio in Charlottetown.
Right.
And some of the stories. But anyways, I'm kind of getting off track here. I got to leave room for other callers. But
for sure.
I just wanted to congratulate you, Dan. You're doing a heck of a job. And I hope, like, I miss Rick Howe, too. I know he used to come in. They used to come in and drink nothing but the best. Yeah, those guys knew what they were doing.
Yeah, well, that's the old school way of doing things, right? Anyway, I appreciate it, sir. I'm going to move on, all right? Have a fantastic day. Appreciate you calling, and thanks for spending some time with us.
One more thing.
Quickly, yep.
I love the channel so much that you guys do the ball games, and I love listening to the ball games on the radio. It's so fun.
So do I.
And go Jays, go!
Go Jays, go! I appreciate it.
Bring it home.
Let's do it. All right, man. Appreciate it. Have a good one. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Let's go to line number 2. Trina, how are you?
Hi, Dan. How are you?
My goodness, that name I haven't heard for a long time.
Well, I called a few weeks ago, actually,
Did
when
you?
you were away.
Oh, see? Well, you didn't. That's because I wasn't there.
That was my first time calling, actually, so this is only my second time calling.
Well, I appreciate you calling.
Congratulations on your 20 years of the news station.
Thank you.
I have not listened to news as much as I listen to it now with this station, so I appreciate that. Now I'm actually up in the events of what's going on in the world.
Awesome.
I'm calling to give kudos to the people at the VLRC, the Vision Loss Rehabilitation Center.
Important work.
I recently went blind last year. I have no sight whatsoever, and they have been grateful, helpful. Anything I need, they help me to get my independence back, to make sure I get my daily living. The people there are great. They're nice to talk to. You can call them anytime, and they help you with whatever they can. They are very busy, however, because there are a lot of people out there that are still waiting as these guys are doing their best. So I just want to give my appreciation to them for the help they've given me with my losing my sight. So they do no vision and low vision, and I'm very appreciative of them.
Trina, I thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you for listening to the radio station, and hope you continue to do so for many more years.
Thank you, Dan. Keep doing what you do, and I'm going to keep listening.
All right, 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Line number 1, Laura Lee, a first-time caller. Welcome to the show.
I know. Hi, Dan. How are you?
I am well. What's on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to congratulate you guys on 20 years. I listen to you every single day, and by the way, you're doing an amazing job.
Well, thank
I
you.
mean, I miss Mr. Todd, but
so do I.
I mean, you're hilarious, and you don't back down, so I can really appreciate that.
Well, some will disagree with that, but that's okay.
I'm one of the ones who agree.
All right.
But no, thank you for keeping the important conversations alive, in our community, and for giving listeners a voice. Like I said, you're doing a great job, and I'm wishing you and everyone at the show a very warm and happy Thanksgiving, and all of HRM in Nova Scotia, for that matter.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for listening, and thanks for joining the show today, and have a happy Thanksgiving yourself.
Thanks, Dan. Take care.
902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. The open hour continues right after this break. Welcome back. This is the fabulous Friday edition of the Todd Veinotte Show, and it's an extra special fabulous Friday because we're down here at the Westin Nova Scotian. We're celebrating the radio station 95.7 News Radio's 20th anniversary with a special broadcast. Lots of people popping by here in the lobby to say hi and to share some stories, and some of them I could say on the radio, some maybe not so much. But anyway, very glad that you are to those that have stopped by already and those that are here. You're the reason why we do this, right? The listener is why we exist, and without you guys, we wouldn't be here. It would be Vanessa and I talking to each other, and I can tell you, Vanessa's pretty sick of listening to me. A couple of emails to pass along to you from people that were unable to join us here on the program today. This one to longtime listener and emailer. Rob emails me just about every day, and he writes, my thanks to you and Todd on so capably hosting the show. It's not only entertaining, but I think it's an important part of keeping people engaged in our democracy. Not a small contribution given the times that we live in. That is from Rob, and also got an email from Councillor Billy Gillis, who said, good morning, Dan and Vanessa. I originally planned to drop by for your celebrations, but I'm tied up at another meeting in Sackville and won't be able to attend. I want to wish 95.7 News Radio a happy birthday and continued success, as it's a vital link to the community and a voice for the people. Thank you both for everything you guys do and making 95.7 a great listening experience. And that is from Councillor Billy Gillis. 902-405-6000 is the number, 1-877-801-8255. Let's go to Grant, who's on the line. Grant, how are you?
Good morning. I just
It's on your
want
mind,
to
sir.
give my...
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're loud and clear.
Oh, sorry, yeah. All right, I just want to give my praise. I don't know who to give it to, I guess. To the producer, maybe? Whoever
She's
that
the
is,
boss.
or maybe
Vanessa
to
is the
Roger.
boss. Yeah.
Or maybe to Rogers or Vanessa, just for keeping the show going.
Right.
I mean, I don't think every community, every city has something quite like the open hour, where it genuinely feels like an open hour where you're not screening topics. It doesn't feel like you are, at least. And it's nice. It's great. It's remarkable that it keeps going. And, yeah, I really enjoy it.
Well, I appreciate you spending some time with us today, Grant, and keep listening,
And also,
all right?
Sorry,
Sure.
not to cut you off.
Yeah.
I just want to give a shout-out to Bill Mon. Bill, if you're listening, we're thinking about you.
For sure.
And always love listening to Bill. I know him personally, and he's a fighter, so I expect him to be just fine.
Absolutely, and we'll look forward to him joining the program again. Grant, I appreciate you calling us today, and have a happy Thanksgiving. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Lots of lines open if you want to get in and join the conversation. Again, we're down here at the Westin Nova Scotian, and we are going to be here right up until 1 o'clock. It's not going to end after the open hour. We've got some special guests that are going to join us for the third hour of this special celebration. I see a few of them wandering through the halls here. There's going to be my boss is calling. I think I might be in trouble. No, that's not true. My boss started her broadcast career in Halifax and started doing what she does with the immortal Rick Howe. So we thought it appropriate. She'll be joining us. Amber LeBlanc is her name, and she'll be joining us after the news at noon. And I think there's another one of Rick Howe's former, I won't say old because she's not old, but former producers that's wandering around here, and we'll see if we can get Katie Hartad to join us on the show here. That's going to happen after the noon hour too. Alistair Alders will be here for his weekly segment because we can't not talk about the weather, right? Because it is what it is, and I hear that there's a nor'easter coming. So, in fact, Alistair kind of just perked up and said, is there? So you know what he's going to do? He's off to his maps and his charts, and he's going to bring us the very latest information. That's going to happen as well. And I'm going to save the last two guests. Cecil will be here to talk sports because we couldn't let him off the hook with the Blue Jays advancing in towards the World Series, to the American League Championship. Couldn't let it go without giving him the gear, so we'll have him join the show. And I've got a very special guest at the end that I'm not going to tell you who it is, so you make sure that you stick around for that and you join the conversation. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. Vanessa's talking to me in my ear, so we'll do that for sure. Vanessa, he's here in fact, and we'll have him join the show in the 12:30 slot. So that is not a big deal. This is live radio, folks. We're communicating through a Google Doc, which is kind of interesting, right? I'm used to looking through the glass at Vanessa and sometimes the newscasters here, but this is wild because I'm sitting out here in the wide open with fans and with guests for the show, and staring back at me, and it's a little bit different. I'll be honest. It's been a little bit eye opening. Lots of talks with people here talking about Rick, of course, and talking about Jordy and Sheldon and Tom and Todd and all of the other hosts that have been here. But I want to send a shout out to all of the people that have been part of this program, this radio station over the years. I listed a bunch of them off the top of the show. This doesn't happen without a lot of people, and a lot of people have come through the doors at Young Tower with us, and I know that some of them are still out there listening today and are unable to come by, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody's recognized for the hard work. When this radio station started, we started at absolutely nothing. And I can tell you that the first couple of years around here, it was a struggle to try and find our spot in the community and be able to provide the services that we provide to you now. And it took some time, but I think the next 20 years in this market will be just as strong, if not stronger, for our radio station as we move forward. 902-405-6000 or 1-877-801-8255. I got another email. This one comes to us from Trevor. It reads, "Thanks for keeping the station together while Todd's recovering. I'll do my very best. I also hear Vanessa's name a lot. I expect she wears a lot of hats keeping the station rolling." That is an understatement of the year, I think. "Congrats on your 20 years on the air." He says, "I'm living in Calgary just over 11 years, and I can honestly say that I've listened to Halifax 95.7 News Radio almost every day since I moved out here. This is a connection to the radio online from home was a huge help in keeping me connected to Halifax when I moved to Calgary. Between Rick Howe, Jordy Morgan, Todd Veinotte, and the others, it's been really great to listen to the show. The Science Files, let's not forget about the Science Files. Holy smokes, right? The Science Files was born on on Maritime Morning with Andrew Crystal way back at the beginning. And that, of course, featured not only Andrew, but our meteorologist at the time and one of the smartest people I know on the planet, and that is Richard Zarowski. And that has grown from a bit to a segment to a full-blown show. We ran that for some time. That's where we were introduced to Dr. Rob Thacker, who is now running the Science Files and keeping me up to date. But let's not forget that those two, Zarowski and Thacker, had their own bit for a while. And Zarowski has also moved that show. It followed Andrew off into his career when he was on satellite radio, of all things. And that show continued. So, my goodness, Science Files, I almost forgot about it. Thank you, Trevor, for reminding me about that part of our history. Mortgage 101, of course, is part of our show. And that is with Clinton Wilkins. Clinton's going to join us as part of this program as well. He's here, and in fact, he's making part of this possible by helping us with some sponsorship on this, and he's been a big fan of our shows as well. So we'll be doing that today as well. The email continues and reads on, "I wish I was there in town to go downtown to see the live broadcast. Here's to another 20 years as I plan on moving back to Halifax within the next 5, and hopefully we'll be at the next live Weston celebration. Thanks," and that is from Trevor. Trevor, thank you very much for the kind words in the email. It's something that we don't often think about. We often focus, and it's been part of the Todd Veinotte Show focus as of late, to really just nail down onto the local issues that matter most to our listeners. But let's not forget the connection, as Trevor laid out. We take calls. Vanessa takes calls from people all over the world, to be quite honest. We have callers that join us on the open hour from Manitoba. Trevor joins us from Calgary. I've taken calls from Florida. We're all over the place, and that's the beauty of online radio as we move forward here and into the new millennium, as they say. And let's not forget, of course, our good friend and resident physician, Dr. John Gillis, who is here every Wednesday. Many will tell you that getting medical advice these days isn't easy. And having John join us, and I got to tell you, it's not an easy position for him to be in, because you can imagine trying to diagnose somebody's ailment by just listening to them on the radio. It's very cool, and I'm very glad that he joins us. Of course, going down that vein, once a month, we have Dr. Jeff Goodall from Bedford who joins us. So it's not just Vanessa, it's not just me, it's not just Todd. There's just a whole host of people that make this show possible. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention our staff, my staff, of course, in the newsroom. There's Chris Halef and Shelley Summers and Mark Hodgins and Blake Priddle, and they do fantastic work. They're a small but mighty team, I can tell you that much, and probably don't get the credit that they deserve for all the hard work that they do. Thank you to each and every one of you who picked up the number of the phone and dialed the numbers and joined the program. I hope that you will stick with us. We're not done yet. We still got another hour to go. We're going to get an update on the news here coming up at noon. And on the other side of it, hour number 3 of this special broadcast. And it's a doozy. We're going to take a break. And when I come back, somebody that used to be in the ear of Rick Howe a lot, Katie Harteye is here, will be our guest. And, of course, my boss, Amber LeBlanc, will join us. You're listening to the Todd Veinotte Show on 95.7 News Radio. We're live at the Westin. Come by and see us. We're back after the break.
Welcome back to 95.7 News Radio's 20th anniversary show. I'm Vanessa Vandeness. Here's a look back at one of the standout stories from our archives.
Perhaps, and hopefully I can do something with that and do some good moving forward with this platform that I have as well. So, instead of the 4 words, I have Parkinson's disease, I choose 4 other words that I plan to live by for the rest of my life. Parkinson's doesn't have me.
Now, live from the Westin Hotel, here's Dan Alstrand.
Well, the pressure's on. This segment is the one that as a host I've been kind of worrying about the most, and the reason why that is because the next pair of voices you're going to hear have been longtime talk producers, and as I've been telling you before, it's Vanessa's show. I'm just living in it, and this voice that you're going to hear right now was the Vanessa to me that was to Rick. And that is Katie Harteye, who I haven't seen for a very long time. And I heard she was around, and I asked her if she'd come by, and lo and behold, there you are.
And here I am.
And see, I did it
so
wrong.
So happy to be here.
Did it all wrong already.
Oh, no.
There we are.
There
That's
we
better.
go. Lovely to see you, Dan.
Radio.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Katie Harteye produced the Rick Howe Show for how long?
Oh, on and off, about 5 years. I think I was last on the mic at the station in May 2021.
Right, and that was during the crazy time.
Oh my goodness, crazy in so many different ways.
Right, with the pandemic and all of the working remotely and everything else, and it was the whole world was upside down.
Oh yeah, it was just constantly changing all the time.
I've been thinking a lot about Rick today, obviously, as many people have.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you and he were very close. And, in fact, Rick stood up at your wedding. So
sure did.
With his
my
hat,
witness and my flower girl.
With his hat and everything on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're very glad that you're here, Katie. We're pretty much new to your career when you made the trip from that place. We won't call it Ontario.
You're from there too.
I know, I'm from there too. And started. Tell me a little bit about what that experience was like, and working with a guy who essentially filled the whole room when he spoke.
Oh, he absolutely did. It was such an impactful way to begin my career, working closely with someone who was the voice of the people.
Right.
And to have a mentor who spent 49 years in broadcasting. It was so meaningful to work closely with him and to become friends with him.
Right.
I loved his stories about, the good old days and how the industry had changed so dramatically in his time in it. I know if you and I are talking about cutting tape, we're talking about, pulling a clip from an interview that we recorded on a computer.
Right.
But for Rick, he would love to enlighten me that, he actually physically had to cut tape.
With a razor blade.
And put it in the newscast.
Yeah.
And so, I really enjoyed all of his stories, no matter how many times I heard them, about how things have changed. And like when he covered, significant happenings like Westray or the St. John City Hall fire.
Right.
To when he got to meet Princess Diana and how he was
still jealous.
Oh, well, yes, he was spellbound, he
Right.
would say, and then of course him meeting his lovely wife Yvonne in the legislature. And,
Right, and the stories that was fantastic. On the line, joining us is somebody that predates us with Rick Howe, and she started working over there at the other station. We won't give it its name, but it's of course CGNS. And that as a producer for Rick Howe, and has seen her career kind of blossom after, and now she's my boss. Amber LeBlanc, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Hi, Katie.
Hello.
Wow, Amber, 20 years. You got a really interesting perspective because you were around in HRM before this station was here, and now you're helping to grow this station. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it is funny that when I was working in Halifax with Rick, News 95.7 was launching at that time, and it was the competition. Right. So it was the enemy, and now I am, get to work with this quote unquote enemy, which is obviously, such a privilege and an honor, and to see it, from its beginning to the way it's evolved, and just thinking about 20 years of the information, like the critical information that's come from 95.7 that's helped people in HRM. Like, it's emotional, and just thinking about, hearing about Rick's part. And I think what people don't know, or don't kind of realize is that, when there's a hurricane or there's wildfires, like the people that work at 95.7, like they're also impacted by that, but they kind of have to park their personal concerns to work for you and work for the people. So, I just want to thank everyone at 95.7 for just that sacrifice of, when there's a wildfire, they're running to it. There's a hurricane, they're going to the station, they're sleeping overnight. We actually have a cot for people to sleep overnight, to work for you. So 20 years of doing that is an amazing accomplishment, and thank you so much.
I kid with people that I've spent in the last 5 years more time in my camping gear on the floor of my office at the radio station than I have in the woods. It's wild. And Katie was here for some of that stuff. Katie, can you tell me, do you remember those days, right?
Oh, vividly.
Right?
Yeah.
Working those long hours and trying to get people on the phone so that we can bring the latest information to people, and dealing with maybe a grumpy host at the odd time when those things were going on. It was a wild experience.
It was, absolutely. And Sheldon's coverage during Dorian, especially, that was around the clock. Like, I remember how many people called in to thank us for that.
Yeah, no, he was on the air for like 11 or 12 straight hours that day.
Unreal.
On top of all the other stuff that we did. Amber, I had a conversation with Fred Mathewson early today about the importance of what news radio brings, not only to Halifax but to the rest of the country. You're the driving force behind it. Tell us what the future holds for the beloved Green Brand radio stations in Canada.
Well, local news is everything, right? Like, it connects us. It's a pillar of democracy. Like, and I think what, maybe people don't think about as well is that, in a world where, there are more people are moving towards a subscription-based model, which of course can, needs to work for their business, but 95.7 is free. All you need is a radio, and you don't even need a radio. You have your phone. You can listen on the Seeker app, free, 24/7, anytime. Get the information you need. Our website, halifax.citynews.ca, free, updated by humans who live in the community. So local news is everything to us, and so just want to remind people that there is that service available to you for free whenever you need it. And the people that work at 95.7 are just the most caring, dedicated people who just work for you, and it's amazing. So just, times like this is a good reset for people like, hey, yeah, in a world where you're trying to get charged for everything, there's, what's the cost for that? What's the cost for that? It's not a joke. It's free.
It is free.
For you.
You just have to deal with me every once in a while.
Yeah, that's the only downside, but,
Thanks, boss.
Yeah.
Jeez. Anyway, Amber, I know you're very busy, and I know we're taking up some of your time, so I appreciate you joining us today.
Well, thank you so much, and obviously want to give a special shout-out to Rick and his family. We miss him so much. Wonderful that he's part of the legacy of 95.7, and everyone who's worked at 95.7, past and present. It's an amazing legacy. You should feel very proud. It's a wonderful source of information in Atlantic Canada, and an important one. And just thank you guys for all that you do. And I wish I was there in Nova Scotia to celebrate with you, but I'll just say sociable.
Sociable. Appreciate it, Amber. Thank you very much. Katie,
Okay.
thank you for stopping by and joining us. It's great to see you again, and stay in touch, all right?
Absolutely.
That is Katie Hartai, Rick Howe producer, Amber LeBlanc, Rick Howe producer. She'll say that was her first job and her favorite job, and now she has to deal with me. So can you imagine? Vanessa tries to keep me in line, and when it goes beyond that, then it's Amber's job to try and keep the reins on Dan. We're going to stop. We're going to take yet another break here on the program and thank our guests. And when we come back, we're talking about legends, right? We've talked about Tom. We've talked about Andrew. We've talked about Katie. We've talked about Rick. Broadcasting legend and friend of the show, Steve Murphy, is going to join us when we come back. You're listening to The Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Ahlstrand. Happy birthday. We're back in minutes. All right, welcome back. It's observations from the perch here. I'm on an elevated platform, and there's a lot of people here that have stopped by to say hi and to introduce themselves to me and to join the celebration. But this working part of it's kind of sucks because everybody's eating cake and having coffee. I'm still working. So anyway, we'll do that right up until the top of the hour. Very pleased to welcome to us, join us on the phone, long time. Steve, I don't even know how to introduce you anymore. How about just legend? Does that work?
Oh, fair enough, Dad. But hey, it's your show, and legends are being born here this morning. This is a complete trip down memory lane for me. Hearing you speak of people who were such an essential part of my life, Tommy Young and Rick Howe, and all the hosts who I've been privileged to know over the years on this radio station and others. What a trip down memory lane. Happy birthday to you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for that, Steve. I appreciate that. Mancini's taking a picture of me as we're doing this. Anyway, let's not forget that you've been on this side of the microphone a couple times for us as well.
Yeah, well, listen, I had a lot of fun doing the Murphy Mondays. I'm still asked about that. And it was a great pleasure to get back to my talk radio roots. I was thinking, though, Dan, this program, this radio station of which you're a part, and this program is part of a largely unbroken tradition of talk radio in the Halifax market. And one of the callers in the last hour made the point that not every community has an open forum and an open line or an open hour as you do, and as talk shows in this town have always done. And if you look at it, I can get talk radio in Halifax back to the early mid-1960s with names like Mike McNeil, Ron Pumphrey, Bill Ozart, Jim Nunn, Clyde Schaefer,
holy smokes,
Dave Wright. And then we get into the next generation, the Rick Howes, of course, Todd, Sheldon, the late great Andrew Crystal, Geordie. What a lineup, and what a tremendous asset it has been to the community to have this continuity in talk radio through the last six decades.
I think it's important because, in today's world where everything's going at 1,000,000 miles an hour and there's so many different platforms and so many different ways that people communicate, to get everybody collected in one spot where they know that they're going to get what they need and have their voices heard, and particularly speak a little bit of truth to power, I think is vitally important in the world that we live now.
Well, Dan, and I've made this point before, and I hope you'll bear with me while I make it again, but talk radio has always been a bit of the canary in the coal mine of public opinion. Quite often news stories are talk radio topics before they become news stories. And, of course, you don't need me, nor do your listeners need me to tell you about the influence that talk radio has on public policy. And I want to speak, if I might, just briefly about Rick Howe. Sure. Because I remember when Rick was doing this program, and Rick, of course, did talk radio on CJCH as I did. Rick was an established talk radio figure in the community when your station brought him back. Rick Howe led the discussion on the Commonwealth Games in this town. Many would say that it was Rick's platform, Rick's opinions, and Rick's callers who ultimately shaped the decision to get out of the Commonwealth Games bid, for better or for worse. I have no doubt that it was Rick and the callers on talk radio who largely influenced the decision to finally call the mass casualty commission.
100% will agree with that. Yep.
Talk radio is very, very important when it comes to germinating public sentiment. And I think it's no secret that people who are in positions of authority at the legislature, people who are at City Hall, are listening to this program, not because they agree with everything that's being said, but because they need to know what's being said. Because it is, again, where so much public policy and so many news stories actually germinate.
Steve, I know that we've talked to the Premier today. We've talked to a Lieutenant Governor. I think that's the first time I've ever interviewed a Lieutenant Governor on the radio, to be honest.
Well, listen, we have a very accessible Lieutenant Governor. You can argue the merits of whether we need such a person, such an office, but if we're going to have a Lieutenant Governor, let's have someone who's accessible as His Honor is.
For sure, and we've spoken to some alumni, some hosts, some producers, and now a broadcast legend in Steve Murphy. Steve, my door is always open to you, sir, and I know I and our listeners are looking forward to for you joining us very shortly, and for many years to come.
All right, and may I add one quick word? Happy anniversary to the callers, particularly Gloria and Bill, and all the best to Bill as he recovers.
Steve, I appreciate it, sir, and let's do lunch.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
And you're buying. 902-405-6000, 1-877-801-8255. The show continues. The lobby is full. My goodness. And we've been talking a lot about the history of the station, and as you normally do when you are talking about a birthday and a celebration. And we've been running down a hosts of programs that we've had. I've been remiss and missed a few. Nikki Jabor has been on this station. She was on here for 14 or 15 years. And you may not remember it, because I had to remember about it and think about it, but our next guest, and I'll get him to introduce himself in a second, was on this station talking about what is a pastime for many, and that's golf. Introduce yourself to the crowd, please.
Hi, it's Todd Bishop with Dormy Workshop.
Todd, you used to also be on the show here, or on the station, and doing a bit of a golf show.
Yeah, it was called Tee to Green, and it started originally as just straight golf tips.
Right.
So people would call in and ask about their slice or having problems with putting, and I try to figure it out as best I could over the radio.
Right.
And then it kind of turned into, at that time we started up the business, and my brother and I kind of split the show, and it turned into a bit of, entrepreneur golf business mixed with golf tips, and then it kind of talked about PGA Tour and LPGA Tour and what was going on in the golf world. So it was just a Friday afternoon show that people could call in if they want, and then it turned into just kind of a little bit that went on past, because it started with Rick.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Right? And
then Sheldon. And
where a lot of things that it happened. You're not doing radio anymore, but you're certainly successful. I see your stuff all over the place. Tell us about what you're doing now.
Yeah, so that journey that kind of you kicked off at the radio station, and you guys kind of follow us along a little bit. We'd be traveling in airports and calling in from wherever we were doing our business, and the business really has taken off in terms of growth. We're in courses like Augusta, St. Andrews, and our next we're heading to Korea is our next goal.
Wow, really?
The Asian market. But we have a new space now in Los Angeles, and so we have our HQ is still Halifax, over on McIntosh Street, just behind the Rubber Duck Car Wash. And we've got the spot in Los Angeles, and we just acquired a belt company, so a handmade, really high-end leather belts.
Right.
So we actually have two spots in Los Angeles.
Holy smokes! And it started just from a conversation. And for those of you that don't know what Dormy Golf does, if you've been on the golf course and you see these really cool head covers, I'll guarantee you that they come from your shop.
It's becoming pretty much a staple in like the top 500 courses, like Cabot Cape Breton. They're our number one client.
Right.
They were our original backers way back in the day, and we've grown a lot with them and learned a lot in terms of how to merchandise and sell to other resort-based courses. So we have places like Kapalua and Wailea in Hawaii, and all these resorts are like, geez, you can sell a head cover for $350,
right?
And we're like, yeah, and you can sell a lot of them. Right. And they kind of are in disbelief, but then we bring up these business cases, and they're like, oh wow, that's awesome. Let's do some business.
Dormy Golf. If you're looking at the Christmas season's coming, right? If you're looking for a gift for a golfer, I'll guarantee you're not going to find it anywhere else. I appreciate you stopping by, and all the best in the future.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate the family here. We still have great communication and ties with the station, and Greg Murphy and the late Scott Bondarchuk. We owe a lot to those guys. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good one. We're going to stop, take another break. The show's going to continue on the other side. You're listening to The Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Allstrand. We're back in minutes. All right, welcome back. We can't not have Alistair Alders on the show on a Friday because, everybody's waiting to see what is next for their weather, right? And he's here.
Especially long weekend weather.
But let's not forget that Alistair's been a part of this radio station for a long time. You heard him for years, working in the traffic end of things, working for Skywards, and then of course he went off and is getting his education done, and soon, I don't know if I'm letting the cat out of the bag here, but soon we'll be able to call him a full-blown meteorologist because he's almost graduated.
Almost there, about halfway there. Expected to graduate in December, so really looking forward to that. It's obviously been a dream of mine to be a meteorologist, as you know, so I'm really looking forward to officially getting that title in the winter.
Looking forward
just
to it.
in time for all the nor'easters and snowstorms.
All right, Alistair, we're going to put you on the spot here because we got a lineup of guests that want to get on the stage. So let's get this done. What's happening with the weather? Are we going to get that nor'easter that I'm hearing about?
Yeah, so there's going to be a coastal storm that develops along the U.S. eastern seaboard through the weekend, and as has been the case over the last several weeks, we have this ridge of high pressure that's going to park overhead, and it's really not going to allow that storm to make its way into the region. It's going to allow it to somewhat stall, very slowly moving up the U.S. eastern seaboard through the weekend. But the high really keeps most of that weather to our south. We start to see some of that high-level cloud moving in on Sunday, and especially for Thanksgiving Monday. I think, it does become quite cloudy by the end of the long weekend. But for the most part, the rain stays to the south. The southwest of the province could see some showers by Sunday night and maybe Monday. But really the bulk of this weather is expected to hold to our south through the upcoming long weekend. A bit more uncertainty by, say, the middle and later stages of next week, depending on where that low could go from there. If it, maybe can get a bit farther north, or if it gets, knocked out to sea, if you will. But, for the Thanksgiving long weekend, obviously very important for people who have travel plans. It's looking clear. The weather's looking generally fair and a bit warmer than the last couple of days, which I know, we were at near 30 degrees on Monday, and then frost for some this morning. My
seats came on in my truck this morning. It was so cold.
It's that time of year, I guess, where, 30 degrees is very unusual at this time of year, but certainly somewhat of a roller coaster for our weather. And the weekend looking, I would say pleasant temperature-wise, mid-teens.
So good Thanksgiving long day, or Thanksgiving Day long weekend weather-ish.
For sure. If you're looking for, brighter skies, Saturday is your day, the most sunshine expected. We start to see more of that high-level cloud moving in on Sunday, but it's still a pleasant day, a mix of sun and high cloud, and then I do think quite cloudy for Monday. The thing about this time of year with the fall colors starting to peak, the colors can be really nice on a sunny day, but on a bit of a gray day, they really pop. So if this is the weekend that you're maybe going to Cape Breton or you're driving around to look at the fall colors, that cloud cover I think is really going to help them pop, because even just on my drive in today, they're really starting to stand out with these bright days we've had and a few cool crisp nights.
Alistair, appreciate you stopping by and giving us the forecast, and happy Thanksgiving to you.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving and happy anniversary to 95.7 News Radio.
Yeah, which you're a huge part of, brother, and I appreciate it each time you join us. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
That is Alistair Alders. Now joining me on the other side of the stage, the host of Mortgage 101, and Clinton Wilkins, of course, making this broadcast happen with some sponsorship money. My friend, welcome. Oh, let's make sure we turn on your mic so that you're.
It's really the
better?
least. It's really the least I could do. Let's be honest.
Well, I'm glad that you're here because
you guys support me and my business, and help us educate consumers every single day. I just love being a part of the station.
Right. So, tell me a little bit about the genesis of Mortgage 101. Tell us how that all became to what this powerhouse that it is now.
I've been doing business with the radio station going on 10 years. This is the 10th year that I've been doing a version of Mortgage 101. We first started with Rick back in the day. We were doing 5-minute little educational tips, and it started into a full-blown show the first year that there was a live show on the weekend, and we started it with Todd. And originally we were going to start with one season. Mortgage lending, it doesn't seem that exciting. We thought we would say everything, and after one season we would be done. But a lot has changed, and housing is really at the forefront of people's minds.
So housing crisis.
And, the rates were changing, policies changing with the federal government. And, we were just there and being a part of the conversation. And I think there's actually more for us to say today than there was 10 years ago.
Right. And I think that the path to home ownership is not as cut and dried or as a straight run as it was maybe when we started doing this show.
Definitely not. And it's certainly more challenging today, Dan, than it was even 10 years ago when we're talking about the cost of housing, inflation, all these things. And, our show pivoted a couple years ago. When COVID struck, we stopped going into the studio. We're really, I will call it kind of like a subcontractor. Coming into the studio was really only Rogers employees that were going in.
Right.
And we were lucky enough to keep the messaging going. We pivoted. We started doing the show originally in our office, and we were producing it and then giving it to you guys, and we kept that messaging going. And there was just more and more and more to say. And right now, we're actually producing our show at a studio downtown. And I know you've been a part of Mortgage 101 here a couple times. And
that Podstarter studio is something else, I'll tell you. It's a local success story, much like Clinton Wilkins is a local success story.
Yeah, for sure. And we actually have one of our producers here from Podstarter, so we wanted to give Podstarters a shout out. We have Reese. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
He's taking over. I'm just going to start.
I know. I want to start pressing the buttons. I always joke with Dan, next time him or Todd have a sick day, I'm going to start pressing the buttons and getting behind
I'm just going to go and eat
the
hot
seat. Yeah, just take a back seat is good.
I have been inside the Podstarter studio, and I got to tell you, working in the sonic medium for all these years, it really is a fantastic local facility.
Oh, thank you so much. No, I think that one of the things we've been really lucky with in the last 5 years is to kind of really ride that wave and the growth in podcasting. And Clinton, your show is incredible because obviously it started as a radio show, but it has this whole other life as a podcast
It's taken on so many different variations as well. And I mean, Reese, we wouldn't be able to do that without the support of your company. And frankly, without the support of 95.7, we wouldn't even be here. We were able to make these into TikTok and Instagram Reels and blog posts, and, we're on Spotify and Apple Music and all these things that, really you guys have enabled.
Yeah, and
happen.
I think that's it. There's so many platforms, and people are all using all these different platforms that, the legitimacy of the radio show, and then that spilling out across all the other mediums. You've kind of really developed an audience where, in all this uncertainty, you have someone who can come on and regularly give them an update about what does that mean for me as a homeowner? What does that mean for me in my housing situation? So it's been a real privilege to be part of that for certain.
Now, I work in radio, obviously, and I was talking about this with a guest earlier that I've been for 30 years hearing that radio's dead and that it's a dying medium, yada, yada, yada. Podcasts are going to kill it. You work in the podcast industry, but I think you think the same way, that there's a way that we can work together to grow it even bigger.
I got into podcasting from radio.
Right.
Originally at the BBC, they were doing a lot of podcast radio hybrids, and I love radio as a medium. I think we can flow back and forth between both mediums. I think they complement each other. I think radio and podcasting accompanying each other is a real opportunity. When I moved to Canada, I tuned in to this station and listened to Rick because I didn't know anyone here. I didn't know what the local culture was like. But by listening to this and hearing people call in the local debates, I kind of really got familiar with the community. That was harder to find in podcasting at the time, but there's a real consistent, solid presence that radio delivers. And podcasting is this whole other world that can kind of build off that as well. So,
well, and there's some people that would never hear our show, Dan, to be frank,
right,
on 95.7. Obviously, we're a part of the station. We love it. We want people to tune in. We sound good on FM, I can say that. But it enables a whole different population for us to take it from 95.7 and on to the Spotify, Apple Musics of the world, because different people consume their news different ways. And we want to be there where people get their news.
Well, Clinton, thank you very much for being a part of our team for all these years, and I hope that we continue that relationship for many years to come. Reese, I know that we were having discussions, let's say, and who knows, maybe we'll have some kind of collaboration in the future.
That would be a dream, yeah.
We're going to stop and take our last break here on the program, but it's not over yet. I've been looking forward to this interview for the whole 3 hours. I'm not going to tell you who it is. I wanted it to be a surprise when she takes the stage. You're listening to The Todd Veinotte Show. I'm Dan Alstrand. We're back in minutes.
Welcome back to 95.7 News Radio's 20th anniversary show. I'm Blake Priddle. Here's a look back at one of the standout stories from our archives.
Good morning, Nova Scotia. How are you on this sunny but crisp, do I call it crisp, or just downright frigid Saturday morning? Welcome to a special edition of our show here this morning. I'm Rick Howe with you until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way, but it is also Scotiabank Hockey Day in Canada. And we'll be talking mostly about Canada's national game this morning and into the afternoon. We're broadcasting live this morning from the Emera Oval on the Halifax Common. It's a great day to come out for a skate or just drop by and say hello.
Now live from the Westin Hotel, here's Dan Alstrand.
Welcome back. I've been looking forward to this part of the interview for a long time. And the reason why is sitting next to me is somebody that I hold in high regard, and I know that many people here do. And we haven't seen her near enough since the passing of the late, great Rick Howe. And I'm very pleased to welcome back to the airwaves today to join us and to wrap up our broadcast, my good friend Yvonne Colbert. Yvonne, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Dan, and thank you so much for inviting me to be here today and for remembering Rick. I don't know how many times his name has been mentioned this morning.
Oh, my goodness.
But it's greatly appreciated.
It absolutely is, and I've been thinking about him a lot. I think about him a lot anyway, but I've been thinking about him a lot today, and how much he just loved doing this and loved this medium. And I know that you love this medium very much as well because, you guys both worked in it for so long.
Yeah, Rick he had the alarm set for 3 a.m. every morning, and only once did the alarm go off. Every morning he woke up before the alarm.
Right.
And he'd bounce out of bed, he'd hop in the shower, he'd have his tea and his toast and read the paper, and he was into the station by 5 o'clock in the morning.
I know, because it used to drive me crazy. I'm like, why are you here so early?
He loved what he did. And I think that he made a huge contribution to Rogers.
Oh, there's no doubt.
And also to the province of Nova Scotia. He generated a lot of discussion. He brought about change, even though he was modest and he'd say, oh, no, not really. But he did. And he was a very important voice.
Absolutely. And we owe an awful lot to him. Many people ask me, Yvonne, how you been since the last time we spoke? Your family's here today. I see a little one here, which is the next generation, wearing a plaid shirt. I was kind of thinking maybe there was going to be a Halifax cap on his head, but tell me a little bit about how you're doing and how things are moving forward.
Well, our granddaughter just turned 16, Brianna, and she's a beautiful young woman.
Right.
And the little person here today is Preston Eric Howe.
Oh, wow.
You know Rick's name,
Absolutely.
Real name was Eric. So Preston is named after his Grampy, and he's sporting the flannel shirt. He's representing Grampy today.
Well, he wants to come on the stage, too. Looking at those microphones, it's in the DNA, right? It doesn't go anywhere.
And you know, when he was smaller, he was a lot like Rick in that he had a bald head on top and long hair at the back. So that was kind of cute.
Joining us on the line, Yvonne, is a longtime friend of Rick's and of yours, of course, and that is our good friend Cecil. Cecil, how are you?
Yvonne, how are you?
Hi, Cecil. It's so great to hear your voice.
Well, I thought so highly of your husband, and he is sole-handedly responsible for me even doing this segment. I remember the day he asked me to do it, I thought he was kidding and thought he was just going to make a big running joke of my Boston fandom, but he didn't, so I owe him and you a lot.
Well, thank you. And I know he loved talking to you. That was one of the highlights for him. Talking sports, I mean, gee.
Right. Never saw him without something sports-related on his head or on his shirts.
I would always try to mention the Montreal Expos because I knew that drove him crazy.
Well, Rick had, and I still have, a bobblehead collection of almost every Montreal Expo, including UP.
There you go. Cecil, I would be remiss if I didn't take just 10 seconds of this interview to ask you what you thought about the American League Championship Series and the Blue Jays making their way to it.
Well, I'm kind of rooting for them now.
There's lots of room on the bandwagon, sir.
They put the Yankees out, so, anybody who can demolish the Yankees, I love that. So, and I mean, they have been playing very well, so I'm going to give credit where credit is due. They look pretty good, and I'm hoping that they can get by whoever makes it Detroit or Seattle and goes to the World Series.
Awesome. Well, Cecil, I know you're busy. I appreciate you spending some time with us on our birthday, and go Jays, go. All
right. Have a great Thanksgiving, and I love you, Yvonne.
Take care, Cecil.
Our good friend and sports guru, Cecil. Yvonne, you've been out of the biz for a bit now, and it's. I know, speaking from my experience, it's a void missing. Do you miss doing what you were doing?
In some respects, yes, but I'm constantly outraged.
Well, that's because you're paying
because
attention.
I'm paying attention. I know.
Right?
It's interesting. I mean, the media has changed so much, even since Rick has gone and since I left CBC. And there's very little investigative journalism anymore. There's a lot that we don't know that's going on because nobody's looking into it.
Right.
And that's a concern, but I don't think that necessarily is going to change with the media world the way it is now.
Right. It's a shame, and I agree with you. And it boils down to just a lack of human beings being in the business and doing the job.
But that's why this show is so important, because it gives people an avenue to express their opinions, and the politicians listen. They may tell you they don't, but they do, and it does result in change.
Well, this show, obviously, we've been talking a lot about Rick and the contributions that he made, but I want to everybody out there that's listening to know that Yvonne has made a massive contribution to the world of journalism, and with her not chasing those people down and holding those people in power to account, that the province is at a little bit of a loss. But I know you're enjoying your retirement. I know you've got that beautiful place down on the South Shore, and I know that you're staying busy, so to speak.
Well, I would like to tell you, when at Rick's Celebration of Life, he wanted people to bring small bouquets of flowers to be distributed. And that day, my son and I ended up distributing them. One of the places we went to was Adsum House for Women.
Right.
And those women wore their lives on their faces and in their body language. And when we went in, we had 3 bundles of flowers. They were so happy because I don't think anybody ever had given them flowers in their life.
Right.
And that was like the most perfect ending to the day. And what we've done is we've made that an annual event.
Nice.
So this year on Rick's birthday, we took flowers again to them and to Shelter Nova Scotia. And the other thing I've done is he had so many books. Rick loved history. He got a lot of books sent to him in hopes he'd interview people. And so what I've done, I've had gold stickers made up. They're not cheap little stickers. They're beautiful. And they say, "From the Library of Rick Howe."
Nice.
And I am donating those to all kinds of different organizations.
So people get to use them. Yep.
Yeah, and Rick lives on.
Right, absolutely. Rick will always live on.
Yeah.
I'll take a look around. Everybody is here today is talking about him and the contribution that he made. I know you're still engaged in what's going on in the world. Because I refer to it more as a sickness than anything else. I just can't get enough of it. I got to ask you about some of the things going on in the world. I know that you watch things pretty closely. Your thoughts on this whole Canada-U.S. relationship and this elbows up and all of this other things? Well, Dan.
Well, do you really want me to say what I think?
Well, as long as we don't swear, we're okay.
No, I won't do that.
Amber already called, so we're good.
Okay. So, Mark Carney was down there talking to Trump, and some people are saying, we didn't do anything and there was no result. But, I mean, how do you deal with someone like him?
Right.
Carney flatters him, and that's the way to Trump's heart, right?
That's the playbook.
And how do you trust anybody who says one thing one day and changes their mind the next? So our Prime Minister has quite a job ahead of him, but I think he's done an admirable job. I don't necessarily agree with everything he does, but I think in this case he's taking the right approach, because to inflame Trump is just going to make the situation worse.
Right, and I was critical of him because we didn't get a deal when he came back, but the playbook and many world leaders, Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron and Meloni from Italy, all go down there. They all bend the knee, as the word is, and they seem to come away. So maybe Mr. Carney's playing a long game.
Yeah, and provincially there's a lot going on,
Right.
and municipally. I
Right.
mean, we could talk forever about.
Well, maybe we should do that more. What do you think?
Perhaps.
Maybe we'll still have a cup of coffee and figure things out. Yvonne, thank you so much for bringing your family up today to join the celebration. It wouldn't have been the same without you here, and I'm so glad that you made the trip.
Thank you for your kindness, and thank you for remembering Rick.
All right, everybody, that's going to about do it here for this edition of the Todd Veinotte Show. I'm not used to applause. I'm used to getting stuff thrown at me. This couldn't have happened without the help of our good friend Clinton Wilkins, our sales team who are here today, who are our man in the booth. I hope they saved me a piece of cake. All of our guests, our engineering team, everybody that made this work. I can't forget Vanessa back at the studio, who has been doing fantastic work. Everybody have an awesome long weekend. Get together with your friends and family. Get out and enjoy some of Nova Scotia. We're so lucky to live here. I say it all the time. Until then, everybody, be well and be kind to one another.